Look down at your hand. Open it, close it. Feel the skin, the tension of the muscles, the pulsing rhythm of blood coursing through hidden veins. It seems like a perfect machine, but if we zoom in millions of times, past the tissues, past the cells, deep into the nucleus, and finally, down to the fundamental stuff of reality, what do you find? Lifeless particles, dead atoms, your hand, your brain, the eyes you are using to watch this video. Everything is made of atoms that obey cold, rigid laws of physics, the exact same atoms that make up rocks, stars, and the empty silence of deep space. So why can the collection of atoms that makes up you stand up, think, and build civilizations? At the boundary between the non-living and the living, something seemingly impossible happens. To understand this, we cannot just look at biology. We have to look through the lens of pure physics. And when we do, we face one of the greatest paradoxes in all of nature. Let's start with an unbreakable rule, a law that governs our entire universe, the second law of thermodynamics. Simply put, this law dictates that everything in the universe is constantly moving toward decay. Order gives way to chaos. Structure crumbles into dust. If you drop a drop of ink into a glass of water, it doesn't stay a perfect sphere. It spreads, diffusing chaotically until the water is a uniform blur of color. If you abandon a magnificent castle, nature reclaims it. This is entropy. The arrow of time points in only one direction, from order to disorder. Every closed physical system will eventually exhaust its energy, falling into a dead state of equilibrium, where nothing happens ever again. Except for life. Somehow life seems to ignore this ruthless decree, at least for a time. Instead of decaying into chaos, living organisms self-organize. They take materials from their environment and build increasingly complex structures. A single cell divides into 2, into 4, into trillions, wiring together with absolute precision. They heal themselves when injured. They maintain a breathtaking state of order, swimming upstream against the cosmic waterfall of entropy. How can dead atoms assemble into a machine that refuses to break down? The answer lies in how the laws of physics actually work. What does that mean? Think of it like this. If you look at a single atom, its behavior is total chaos. Heat is nothing but the random, erratic motion of particles. Atoms constantly crash and bounce around without any specific direction. At the microscopic level, the world is a frantic storm of thermal motion. There is no precise law for a single particle. You cannot predict where it will go. Stability and the laws of physics only emerge when you have a massive number of atoms. Like a panicked crowd of millions, the action of one individual is unpredictable, but the overall movement of the crowd can be calculated mathematically. Macroscopic order is born from microscopic chaos. This is known as the law of large numbers in statistical mechanics. For physical devices to act in an orderly, predictable way, they must be made of billions upon billions of atoms. If they are too small, the sheer violence of thermal motion would instantly destroy any delicate mechanism. Physical exactness requires a gigantic size. But life harbors a secret at its very core. Consider a single fertilized egg. It contains the entire blueprint to build a human being. Every detail. Your eye color, the shape of your nose, disease susceptibility, even personality. This blueprint is stored in a remarkably, impossibly tiny space. The component that dictates these inherited traits is so small that it contains relatively few atoms by physics standards. According to statistical mechanics, it should be highly unstable. It should be ripped apart by the storm of thermal motion. Yet, it isn't. These microscopic units can be passed down flawlessly from generation to generation. The face of the Habsburg royal family in Europe, with its distinctive protruding lower jaw, was copied across dozens of generations. How can a code made of so few atoms survive for thousands of years of chaos? Classical physics is completely powerless to explain this miraculous durability. Life seems to be operating on a fundamentally different foundation of rules. To crack this code, we must leave the world of classical physics and enter the strange realm where the usual laws of reality break down. The quantum world. Welcome to quantum mechanics. In classical physics, energy is a continuous flow. An object can possess any amount of energy, much like standing on a smooth ramp. But the microscopic world is quantized. Instead of a ramp, imagine a staircase. An electron can only stand on this step or that step. To move, it must absorb a precise packet of energy. No more, no less. This is known as a quantum leap, the key that rescues life from thermal chaos. When atoms bond, they fall into a lower, more stable energy state. Picture them having just dropped into a deep canyon. The surrounding thermal vibrations are like winds pushing against them. If this were classical physics, these winds would gradually tear the molecule apart. But thanks to quantum mechanics, the molecule cannot be broken apart gradually. To break the bond, the atoms must receive a massive spike of energy in a single instant to leap out of the canyon. The tiny pushes from room temperature heat are nowhere near enough. The molecule simply ignores them. Quantum mechanics has created absolute stability at the microscopic scale. The genetic material inside you is a gigantic supermolecule, welded tightly together by quantum forces. It is a solid structure, but most solids we know are crystals, like salt or diamonds. Crystals are beautiful and stable, but they are profoundly boring. Look at a diamond, you see the exact same pattern repeating billions of times. A periodic architecture. Because of this endless repetition, an ordinary crystal cannot store information. Like wallpaper with a single motif, you cannot write an encyclopedia by pressing the A key billions of times. So what does the living body do? It employs a masterpiece, the aperiodic crystal. It retains durable quantum cohesion, but its structure does not repeat. Every atom is placed in a unique position. Instead of wallpaper, it is a vast tapestry where every thread carries a distinct meaning. This non-repeating structure is essentially a code, a molecular barcode. By varying the arrangement, nature can encode an infinite amount of information. This is how your entire body is compressed into a microscopic space. This concept predicted the existence of DNA long ago. However, this quantum stability is not 100% absolute. Occasionally, errors occur. Heat rarely provides enough energy to break the molecule, but rarely doesn't mean never. Due to random fluctuations, atoms might accidentally receive an enormous jolt. Suddenly, they leap out of the canyon, falling into a newly stable configuration. The internal arrangement within the aperiodic crystal has been altered. The code is rewritten. In biology, we call this a mutation, a discontinuous quantum leap at the heart of life's code. And because the new configuration is also trapped in a quantum canyon, this mutation is passed down with the same stability. Without these random leaps, life would be forever trapped as a simple cell. Quantum physics doesn't just protect life, it is the engine of evolution. But possessing a perfect quantum blueprint is only half the puzzle. Having plans doesn't mean the house builds itself. How does the machine of life actually operate and fight the merciless drag of entropy? They must perform a strange act. They must feed on order. Let's look at the big picture. The universe is sliding towards disorder. Every time you breathe or think, your body generates heat and chaos. If an organism is completely isolated, it will quickly succumb to this internal decay and die. Death is simply the state of reaching maximum entropy. So, how do we stay alive? The conventional answer is we eat for energy. But energy is conserved. Food energy roughly equals the heat you expel. So what are we extracting? The answer is order, negative entropy. Living organisms draw negative entropy from the environment. Think of an apple or a steak. They aren't just calories. They are highly complex molecular structures, masterpieces of low entropy. When digesting, your body tears apart these magnificent structures. You extract order to repair cells, keeping your entropy artificially low. Then, you expel the remnants back into the environment as disordered waste. We survive by drinking order and breathing out chaos. Essentially, living beings are entropy vacuums. But where does that order originally come from? Trace it back. The herbivore eats the leaf. The leaf builds itself using sunlight. The sun is the ultimate fountain of order for the entire planet. Sunlight carries high-frequency photons packed with pure order. Plants act as antennas, catching these light packets and converting them into solid chemical bonds. Earth then radiates disordered heat back into space, having skimmed the pressure's order. Life is a spectacular dance, powered by the slow decay of the sun. Quantum codes dictate structure, and negative entropy fuels it. But there is a missing piece. If we are just quantum machines operating blindly, who is experiencing all this? A crystal does not feel its own beauty, yet the dead atoms inside your skull have awakened. It can see colors, experience pain, and yearn to understand the universe. Now we stand at the precipice of science and the mind. Everything in your body operates on unshakable physics laws. You are a flawless causal automaton. But if every atom, every brain impulse is just a programmed reaction, then where is free will? Why do you feel so deeply that you make decisions? When you decide to raise your arm, it rises. The contradiction is absolute. The physical body is deterministic, but your mind feels it is the pilot. How can both be true? There is a solution echoing for thousands of years in Eastern philosophy, now illuminated by modern physics. The truth is, the experience of an individual I, completely separate from the rest of the world, is an illusion. Every person on Earth has a private inner world. Yet, consciousness is never experienced in the plural. You can only experience one mind at a time. Even if we perfectly cloned your body, your consciousness wouldn't split in two. There is no half consciousness. Consciousness is a singular, undivided entity. It is like a single gigantic canvas, so why does it seem like many minds? Imagine a dark room with one lamp enclosed by a lampshade, pierced with thousands of holes. You see thousands of independent light beams cast on the wall. But they all emanate from one single source of light. Our physical brains are those tiny holes. They allow the light of cosmic consciousness to shine through. But that pure I, silently observing this universe, in you, in me, is one and the same. When you understand this, the paradox dissolves. The body obeys natural laws, but you aren't a helpless victim. Your core I is the author of all laws. You are the universe, experiencing itself through the eyes of a human being. Biology is the mechanism, gravity the stage, quantum structure the protector. And the mind brings all that lifelessness into vivid reality. Life is not an accident. It is the universe's greatest effort to fight against silent death. We started by looking at a hand, a collection of atoms suspended over the entropy abyss. Though they should decay, they are guarded by the strictness of quantum mechanics. The aperiodic crystal holds its shape and passes the code across millennia. Life is a proud rebellion, but the physical machine is just a vessel. The true miracle is what's inside. Consciousness. Looking at the night sky, we often feel insignificant, but physical science says you are not a mere accident of probability. The consciousness looking through your eyes is the universe waking up. Time and decay are just props, but the observer is eternal. Next time you feel your heartbeat, realize you are a quantum masterpiece, the entire universe experiencing the magic of life.